Everybody, so here are our notes for section 1.2, and in this section we're going to add positive and negative numbers. So let me just start off by saying a little bit about numbers and their opposites. So I have the number 7. So what's its opposite? Well, it is negative 7. If I have the number negative 9, its opposite is regular old positive 9. So what happens when you add two opposites together? 7 plus negative 7. Often we put parentheses around the negative like that just to separate the addition and the negative sign so it looks a little nicer. Well, if I add 7 and to negative 7, I end up with nothing. So whenever you add a number and its opposite together, they cancel out to 0. And that's something that'll help you a lot here as we're going through this section. Okay, so we're going to add positive and negative numbers here, and I'm going to show you a few different ways. The first way is the number line, and there will be some number lines for you to print out and use at home if you'd like. And this way is fine. It's just something that, if you have bigger numbers, it won't fit, and so eventually you're just going to have to be able to do these without a number line, but that's okay. For now, I will show you. So if we add a positive number, we're going to go to the right, and when you add negative number, we go to the left. Okay, so here's the first one, and I think this is pretty obvious, but I'm going to do it anyway. What is 6 plus 2? Okay, so we find 6 on the number line. Here it is right here. And we're going to add 2. So we're going to go to the right 2 places. 1, 2. And we end up with our answer, which is 8. Okay, so again, if it's a positive number, move to the right. If it's a negative number, go to the left. So what is negative 4 plus, again, we'll use parentheses here, just to separate the signs, plus negative 3. And they do that in the book too. Okay, so we'll start at negative 4, which is right there. And we're going to add negative 3. So that means we're going to go to the left 3 places. 1, 2, 3. And we get negative 7. Okay? So just a couple more. I think it's pretty straightforward when you add 2 positives and 2 negatives, but it's when you have different signs that things get a little weird. So what is 8 plus negative 3? Okay? So again, we'll start here at 8. And we'll go to the left 3 places. 1, 2, 3. And look at that. We end up right there at 5. So the answer is 5. Okay? Some of you might see that's the same thing as 8 take away 3. So now let's see. What if we have negative 7 plus 4? Okay? So we're going to start at negative 7. Okay, which is down here. And we're going to go to the right 4 places. 1, 2, 3, 4. And look at that, we end up right there at negative 3. Okay, so when you're starting off doing these, I think a number line is really helpful. I'm going to show you another way in a second that I think is nice too, and then we'll talk about it a tiny bit more, and then we'll do a few practice problems, and then I hope you're all set. So let me get rid of that. Okay. Here's the second way. Okay, and the second way is to draw out pluses and minuses. Okay, and again, this is a good way to start, but if you're adding, 97 and negative 73, that's just not going to be a very fun or efficient way to do the problem by drawing these out. So let's just see here. We got negative 6 plus 4, let's say. So what we can do is draw out 6 negatives, and I'll just draw minus signs. Okay? And then I'll draw 4 pluses. Okay? And so what happens is each minus and each plus, they make a 0, just like adding opposites, and they cancel out. So I'm going to just start crossing things out. So this minus is going to cancel out this positive. This negative here is going to cancel out this positive. This one cancels out that one, and this one cancels out the last one, and then we look at what's left for our answer. So what do we have left here? We have 2 negatives left, so that means our answer is -2. Okay, let's do one more. Let's do 8 plus negative, oh, I don't know, 2. Okay, so again, we can just draw out our pluses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And our negatives, 1, 2. And then we start canceling things out here, so we can cross out this plus and this minus. Again, they cancel out and make a 0. This plus is going to cancel out that minus or that negative. And then we look at what's left. We got 6 pluses left. So then our answer is positive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so again, a nice way, but not very efficient if you have big numbers. Okay, the last thing I'm going to mention with this is to go back to what I mentioned in the other video I did about positives being like a hill and negatives being a hole in the ground. Okay, so if I'm adding 3 plus 4, well, those are both positive, so that's like taking a 3-foot hill and putting a 4-foot hill on top of it. And we end up with a 7-foot hill. So the answer is just a positive 7. And likewise, if we have 2 negatives, let's say I got this hole in the ground, that's a negative 4 feet deep. And then at the bottom of that, I dig another hole that's negative 3 feet deep. Well, altogether, check it out. I got a hole that is 7 feet deep, which is a negative 7. So negative 4 plus negative 3 equals negative 7. Again, the tricky part is when you have 2 different signs. So let's say I have an 8-foot hill, and I'm going to add to that negative 3. Okay, so what that means is I'm going to dig down 3 feet into my hill. And where do I end up? Well, if I start off at 8 feet and I go 3 feet down, I end up 5 feet up. So that's why the answer here is positive 5. Okay, likewise, if I'm going to add, let's say, negative 9 plus 4. So I have a big hole here. It is 9 feet deep. And I'm going to put 4 feet of dirt in there. Well, let's check it out. I still have a hole here. See, I got all this space down here in the ground. I still got a hole. So my answer is going to be negative. So if I go 9 feet down and 4 feet up, what I'm left with is a hole that is 5 feet deep. So the answer here is negative 5. Okay, so that's pretty much how it works. I think I'm going to give you a little tip here, and I hope it makes sense. So if the signs are the same, you just add the numbers and keep the sign. So a negative, or let me start with this, a positive added to a positive is a positive answer, and a negative plus a negative is a negative answer. So that's like a hill plus another hill on top. You're going to stay above the ground and have a hill. And if you take a hole and dig another hole in the bottom of it, you stay below the ground, so your answer is negative. Again, the tricky part is when you have different signs. And there you have to subtract, and your answer has the sign of the bigger number. Okay? So negative 8 plus 4. Okay, we got different signs. So we need to subtract. 8 take away 4 is 4. Oops. And the bigger number here, if we look at the bigger numbers, this 8, the 8 is a negative. All right, let me fix that. And so our answer has to be negative also, because the 8's the bigger number, so our answer is negative 4. Okay, so I think that is going to do it here. Just a second. I'm going to give you a few to practice. So after I write them down, I'd suggest you pause the video and try these. I'm just going to give you 4 of them here. And then I'll make a second video in a minute to do some of the other problems, but I don't want to make a video too long here. So what is 8 plus 6? And then what is negative 7 plus negative 4? And then here we've got 9 plus negative 3. And then the last one will be negative 8 plus 6. Okay, so why don't you take a second and pause it, and I will just wait here for a second, and then I will do the answers. Okay, well, I hope you paused the video and tried these. So the answers, well, again, 2 positive numbers. The answer is positive 8 and 6. It's just 14. 2 negative numbers, we add those up and keep the negative sign. That is negative 11. Okay, 9 plus negative 3. Okay, now we have to subtract because the signs are different. Well, 9 take away 3 is 6. The bigger number is this 9, which is positive, so that means our answer is positive also. And you don't need to write the positive in your answer. If we don't write a plus, we assume it's positive. Okay, negative 8 plus 6. Again, we have to subtract. 8 take away 6 is 2. The bigger number here is the 8. And because it has a negative sign, our answer is going to be negative also. So it's negative 2. Okay, so that should get you through about the first part of your homework. I'm going to end this one here, and then I will start the next video in a second and put that one up, and that will cover the rest of the section. So thank you, and again, please email me or message me on our Google Classroom if you have any questions.